Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darian and today we are going to be looking back at my reading year in 2023 and then talking about some of my 2024 reading goals. So 2023 it was an interesting year and I have to say I am not sad to see it go. I mean, overall, I think it was a good year. A lot of good things happened in 2023 as well as a lot of bad things. So I am ready to just move on, especially because my reading year was just not that great this year. As of the day I'm filming this, today is the 17th, I think, of December. I've read 78 books in 2023, which is it's not bad. It's good. It's just that so just for a little bit of context, I got back into reading in 2019 and that year I only read like 30 something books or something. And then the next year I read somewhere in the 70s. 2021 I read like 82 or something. And then last year I read like 84. So I kept going up every year. And this year I took a step back at 78. I'm hoping to at least read one or two more books before the year ends, but still I'm not gonna reach where I got to the past few years. If you remember, I believe I said this at some point at the beginning of this year that my goal was to read 100 books this year. That did not happen, obviously. My reading was just so weird. And if you look at what I read, like I gave a decent amount of books 5 stars this year, but not a lot of them I would consider like all-time favorites. It's just that in the moment I was like, yeah, this is a 5-star book, but then they didn't really stick with me. So I'm feeling very unsatisfied with my reading this year. I just read a lot of like really meh books. I gave a lot of 3 stars, a lot of 2 stars. The bad books I read were really bad. I mean, I guess that happens every year, but I just feel very unsatisfied with my reading this year. I also, some of you may know that this summer I got my first full-time job ever. I was working at a library full-time and it really messed up my reading because I was so stressed about the job and I was so exhausted all the time. So I would come home from work and just like lay in bed and watch something like instead of reading. So I'm hoping that things will change in 2024. I feel very good about 2024 and I know that like I don't want to be one of those people who is like new year, new me, everything's gonna change, I'm gonna be a completely different person. Like obviously that's not gonna happen, but I do feel good about the year as a whole, the year coming. I feel like I am gonna have a really good reading year, okay? Manifesting. And I think, so I guess we're getting into my goals. I think 2024 is gonna be the year I read 100 books. I'm setting it as my Goodreads goal. I mean, I set it as my Goodreads goal last year and then I changed it just so I could feel accomplished to complete my goal, but 100 books, I think I could do it. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. But anyways, I didn't mean to get into my 2024 goals because I actually wanted to talk about my 2023 reading a little bit. This is just gonna be a chatty little video, so I hope you're cozy, get yourself like a comfy drink or something. I don't know, get cozy. We're just gonna talk about my year in reading and what I hope to either change or keep going with in 2024. So as per usual, the most read genre that I read in 2023 was fantasy, and I'm not looking to change that. I think fantasy is always going to be my go-to genre, but the second most read genre for me was romance, which I think is definitely different. I have definitely been reading more and more romance every year and I definitely want to keep going with that. But another goal I have for 2024 is to expand my horizons with the genres I'm reading. So I started to read a little bit more mystery this year, a little bit of horror, but I want to read more. There's so many like mystery thrillers that I add to my TBR and then I never pick them up. I don't know why, but I really want to get into mystery thrillers. Now I don't like things that are too graphic. I'm definitely a baby and I have some triggers that I need to take care of, but especially books that are mostly mysteries rather than thrillers, there's so many that I want to read. So in 2024 I'm hoping to expand my reading a bit. I want to read more mysteries and thrillers, more horror, because I'm learning that I actually like some horror, more like psychological horror, not like body horror stuff, but I do like some horror. I have some horror on my TBR that I haven't picked up, so I'd like to read more of that as well as more literary fiction. And you know, just I mean, still read a lot of fantasy, read a lot of romance, maybe read some fantasy romance. Who knows, but I definitely want to explore more reading genres this year. I also want to continue getting better at DNFing books. I did pretty well this year. I DNF'd 3 books, which like I used to never DNF a book no matter what, but there were definitely some books that I finished this year that I should have DNF'd and moved on, because especially if I want to read 100 books next year, I don't want to waste my time reading books that I am not loving. I mean, I'm not gonna love every book I read. I get this feeling, it's a DNF feeling, when I'm reading something that I'm just really like not interested in, and it might not necessarily be bad. Like none of the books that I DNF'd this year I consider bad books. They just were not calling to me in any way. I was either bored or uninterested, or there was just something about the writing that I wasn't getting along with. And so I want to continue getting better at DNFing books in the new year, because I think I could read way more books that way. Another goal I have, which I have every year, is to read from more diverse voices, whether that be from BIPOC authors, from queer authors, from disabled authors. I mean, I read a lot of queer books, so I'm not too concerned about that because I just gravitate towards queer books. But this year, wait, let me check my stats. This year, of the 78 books that I read, 37.2% of those authors were BIPOC authors, which it could be better, honestly. And I think I was doing way better with that, with being more intentional about my reading the first half of the year. So I definitely want to be more intentional with my reading in 2024. I make this goal every year, and I would like it to be closer to 50% BIPOC authors. And then in terms of queer authors, I'm not too worried about that because I read a lot of queer books. And then I want to intentionally seek out books with disability rep, because here, let me see. I do have this. I got my stats from doing the compile spreadsheet from BookRoast. So according to my stats, 23.1% of the books I read, the main character was disabled, and then 16.7% of the books I read, there was a character with a disability, not necessarily the main character, and then 60.3% there was no characters with disabilities. So that is another thing that I want to be more intentional about with my reading. I just want to read more diversely in general. Another goal I have for next year is to be better at both finishing and continuing series, because I have started so many series. This year I think I read more standalones than books in series, but especially last year I started so many series and then never continued them. I've read so many first books of series and then just not continued them. And like when I was younger and I would read, I would just binge a whole series. I wouldn't read anything else that wasn't part of that series until I was either caught up or done with the series. And I'm really just not like that anymore. I think the last series that I binged was The Raven Cycle, which, by the way, speaking of The Raven Cycle, I really want to reread that. I don't know, that's not like an official goal for next year, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I haven't read it since was it 2019 or 2018? I think it was 2019, but I think that's the last series that I like binge read. I read all 4 books back to back, and I want to do that again this year. I just want to, when I start a series, I want to finish it maybe within the year. Like, wouldn't that be crazy? So I really would just like to continue or finish series this year, because there's a lot that I'm in the middle of, and I gotta fix that, because then I go years without continuing it, and then when I finally continue it, I don't remember what's going on, and it's just not good. It's not good. So yes, I would like to get better at reading series. And then one last final goal I have, it's less about what I'm reading, but I guess how I'm reading. I would like to buy less books and in turn use my library more. I mean, I've been using my library for audiobooks for a long time, but my library doesn't have Libby anymore as of like 2 years ago, I think, because as I learned working at a library this summer, Libby is extremely expensive apparently, and not all libraries can afford it. And so my library has another system that it uses, but it doesn't have as wide of a selection, and so I often get my audiobooks from Scribd, but when I can, I get it from the library. But I almost never go to the library to pick up physical books. I just buy them, which is not a good habit to get into, because then I end up with a lot of books. I mean, if I really like the book, then I can just buy it, but if I don't like the book, then I bought it for no reason and I could have just gotten it at the library. So I would love to use my library more, especially now that I've worked in a library, and also because I want to be a librarian. Obviously, I just have an affinity for my library now, and I really just want to go and I just want to see the librarians. It has kind of become my happy place. I have the past few months been using my library more, so I want to continue that in the new year, go to my library more and spend less money on books, because I really need to save money this year because I'm going on a big trip next year and I need to learn to save money. So buy less books, use my library more. That's my goal. And then I have a few channel goals that I want to get into. I mean, first of all, I want to be more regular about posting videos. 2023 had a lot of ups and downs in terms of my filming. At the beginning of the year, I really didn't post a lot of videos. I was just very in the school mode. And then in the summer, again, I kind of fell off posting videos because I was working and I couldn't find a balance between working and filming and reading. I just had such a hard time finding a balance this year. And 2024, a lot of life things are going to change because it's my last semester of school ever, as long as I pass. But I am graduating in the spring and then hopefully finding a big girl job starting after that. And it won't just be for the summer, it'll hopefully be for a while, you know, a big girl job. Which I'm very scared about, but I'll probably be working full-time, I'm guessing. And so I really want to just figure out a way to balance school/work and reading and other hobbies that I like, and spending time with my boyfriend, spending time with my friends. And I know that's like something that everyone is trying to figure out, but I think it'll just be so good for my mental state if I make the time while I'm figuring that all out to just read, because I love, obviously I love reading, that's why we're here, but I'm not gonna read 100 books in a year if I don't actually like make the effort to read. I know that's crazy, what a crazy thought, but I don't know how I started talking about this, but basically there's gonna be a lot of changes in 2024 because of school and hopefully finding a job. And so I hope through all of that I can figure out how to spend more time reading, being intentional and making time for me to read. I think that will be very good for me. So I don't know what my point was with all of that, but oh yeah, I was talking about my channel. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there, but anyways, so my channel, I would also like to be more consistent posting videos. Now I know, you know, sometimes life happens. I'm sure near the end of my semester, I'm gonna be more focused on my finals than making videos. And then when I start a new job, hopefully I'm gonna be more focused on that than making videos. But overall, I would like to post more regularly than I did last year because I love this. Like I love this. I love talking to you guys and I love just sitting here with my books and talking about books, and I was really missing that a lot this past year. So I would like to do this more regularly. In terms of like my personal channel goals, I want to be realistic because my channel growth was very, very minimal this past year, which makes sense because I wasn't posting a lot. I am currently at around like 2.1k, and I don't want to make an unrealistic goal for myself and be like, I want to reach 5k by the end of the year, because that's not going to happen. My channel has always grown very slowly and I have a feeling it's going to stay that way, which is fine. You know, whatever it is, what it is. So my goal for 2024 is to get to 2.5k, like 400 subscribers. I'd be happy with that. If I could reach 400 more people, I'd be really happy with that. So that's my goal for subscriber count for the year, but that's just like a personal thing. You know, if I don't reach that, it's not the end of the world, whatever. And then I'm so nervous talking about this because I feel such imposter syndrome. But one thing I want to do in 2024 is to start a Patreon. Do not look at me. I hate talking about this. So basically it's something that I've wanted to do since I started my channel, but I told myself first, I said, okay, maybe when I reach 1k, I'll start a Patreon, because I felt like if I started it before then, like no one would join, obviously. And then I reached 1k, but I still felt way too small to have a Patreon. So I said, okay, maybe when I reach 2k. I don't know if you heard that, but someone's speeding. When I reached 2k, maybe that. Then I reached 2k and I said no. but it's not time yet. And I think I'm always gonna feel that way. I'm always gonna feel like my channel's not big enough to have a Patreon, but it's not about, like, for me, the main reason I want to start a Patreon is I'm part of so many of my friends' Patreons, and the community that is built within the Patreon is the best part of all of those Patreons. I mean, yes, the extra content, the like fun like movie nights, the exclusive sprints, those are always so fun, but the community, like I've made so many friends through my friends' Patreons, and I would love to like create this little community of people. I'm gonna get emotional talking about it. But I would love to create like this just little community, even if it's like 3 people, just me and 3 people hanging out, talking about our favorite books, having like our cute little exclusive sprints and chatting. Like that sounds so fun to me, having our own little Discord. Maybe having like our own little book club. I don't care if it's 2 or 3 people. I don't care if it's even 1 person. I will be that person's best friend. But it's just something I really, really want, and I feel like I need more of a sense. Like I love my booktube friends, obviously. I love them to death, but I have been feeling a little lost this year in terms of just the book community, and I really want to get that feeling back and find and kind of create my own little community. And it's not going to be big, and I just get such imposter syndrome because I feel like if I start a Patreon, people are going to be like you, why would you start a Patreon? Who's gonna want to join that? No, thank you. Like, I feel like people will be like, how dare you? Like, why would you think you can have a Patreon, you know? And then there's also the fear of like me starting it and literally no one joins. Like, anyway, so I wanted to put it out there and see like if anyone would want that, let me know. And it's something I'll look into, and I just want to know if is there anyone out there who would join that? Because if not, that's totally fine. I'll just forget it. I just am so worried about people being like, why would you do that? I don't know. I care too much about what other people think. That's a whole other video. But that, I wanted to save that for last because I was so nervous talking about it. But that is roughly my goals for 2024. I know this video was very chaotic and just very chatty. I hope that was okay, but I'm just really hoping that 2024 is a better year in terms of everything, but mostly in terms of reading than 2023. And I hope I find some new favorite books in 2024. I mean, there are a couple books from this past year that are some new favorites, just not very many. And my love for them is not as deep as my love for some of my other favorite books. But anyways, that's for another video. But yeah, I just want to sit down, have a little chat with you guys, kind of recap my year a little bit and talk about the year ahead. What are you guys looking forward to in 2024? If you have any like big exciting plans in 2024, I'm saying 2024 so much, in the next year, I would love to know. I am definitely, I mean, as I mentioned, finishing school forever is going to be quite something, and I mentioned the big trip that I'm going on, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, I'm just excited for a new year and a fresh start. It always feels like a fresh start, and I think I need that. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you watched till the end, leave like some sort of time emoji, whether it's a clock or like the calendar, something about time to signify the end of the year, the end of time. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Leave a clock emoji, okay? Just that's what's on my mind. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Bye!